Good morning and welcome to Northern Maine Productions. I haven't done any videos for quite a while. I've done lawnmower videos on my channel here before, and of course most of you have looked at snapper videos. I've got a couple of old rear engine rider snappers. This is a little different machine here. This is one that I picked up last summer. I do have the hood to it here, but this machine I picked up from one of my aunts. She bought this. This was a holdover machine. She bought this at Duff's in Holton in 2001. This is actually a 2000 model. It's a white outdoor products, MTD. It's an LT 1300. It's got the 13 horsepower Briggs and Stratton Intech engine, or I guess it's an Intech. It's an industrial engine, I guess. It's got this one actually has an oil pump and an oil filter on it. Long story short, she bought this brand new and she used it for years. She's got a very large lawn, and a couple of summers ago the head gasket blew in the stupid thing, and she just kept driving. And of course this is one of them overhead valve Briggs engines, and they will burn the oil out of the crankcase, and so that happened to this, and the motor seized up. I worked on this machine quite a few times over the years, and you know, it looks pretty rough. I mean, it's pretty old, but she always took pretty good care of this. I mean, it was never severely abused. You know, obviously it's getting kind of old now, but the worst thing about it is she bumped into her garage door or something and broke the headlight lens out of it. But long story short, when I bought it, the motor was seized up in it, so I didn't really have a whole lot of hope for this motor ever running. But this past winter, my nephew here decided he was gonna take this engine apart. He had it in the garage, and so he took it apart and scattered parts from one end of my garage to the other. I had quite a time finding all the parts that go to this, that go to the engine. He took the hood all off it, and he took the hood all apart, and he lost all the bolts and the fasteners to the hood, and you know how that goes. He was 14 years old. But so long story short, he couldn't get the base off the engine, so I went out and we discovered that that's where the engine had actually, what was actually froze up. It was actually, the crankshaft was actually stuck in the bottom bearing of the engine. Well, I got that off of there. Finally, we got the cover freed up from the crank, and you know, the engine's got that's got a bushing in there that's a pretty substantial bearing, and it's quite deep. Well, we got the crank out of there, and there weren't even a scratch on the crankshaft. And when I looked down into the bore of the bottom cover, there was just a little tiny bit of metal down in the very bottom of it, down near the seal, that was smeared a little bit. We took the rest of the engine apart. I pulled the piston out of it and took the whole crankshaft out of it and the camshaft and everything, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with the connecting rod or the piston. In fact, you know, the piston was still all covered in oil from it, ingesting so much oil from the bad head gasket. And so we cleaned the piston all up. I decarbonized the ring some because it had been burning oil for quite some time. I think I can That's the spark plug that came out of it right there. As you can see, it's packed right full of carbon. But so I took a little hone and cleaned the bushing up in the bottom of that, and I ordered a gasket set for it and put the stupid thing back together. And last night I had it running here. It runs beautiful. Doesn't, no knocking noises, no weird noises coming from it or nothing. It runs really good. So I guess the thing now is to get the machine all put back together. I actually do have the deck off in it. The deck is over. We'll zoom in there. The deck's leaning up right against that pile of wood right there. The deck is all in good operating condition. The bearings are all still good. And so I know you're thinking, oh gosh, an MTD. Why would you fix an MTD? Well, I'm pretty familiar with this style. This is probably about the last of the real classic 1980s, 1990s MTD tractors. It's got the, well, this one's actually got an 8-speed variable drive on it. I remember driving this tractor. This tractor is very fast. But the steering mechanism's all good. The deck mechanism's all good on it. And I know that the differentials are good in them. So I figured, you know, what the heck, I might just as well put this thing back together and instead of just letting it sit here and waste away. I mean, I got a nephew here who likes to mow grass, so. But luckily, I think that it's going to be possible. We're going to be able to get this going again. I was just looking this over, and I may got 4-wheelers and stuff going everywhere here first thing in the morning. But I was just looking this over, and this hood's a little beat up on this thing, but I happen to have this thing sitting here, which I believe this is this is a year older than that one. This machine's a 99. The deck's all shot on that. This one actually does have an opposed twin in it, but I may take the hood and the grill assembly off of that one. So I know that the headlights and everything worked on this one. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get her going here anyways. And I know she had just had all brand new drive belts put on the drive system, so that stuff's all good. And a couple of years ago, just before the thing blew up, the pulley broke on the bottom of the motor where the deck belt rides. She was mowing pretty heavy grass with it, and the belt was slipping quite bad on it, and the bottom half of the pulley actually came right off of there. So I had a different pulley here that was not the right pulley for it, and I put it on there to get her by, but in the process of doing that, and it's time's gone by, there's a spacer that goes in between the original style pulley and the crankshaft up on the bottom of the motor, and somewhere along the line that spacer got misplaced. I had to go back to my aunt's place and see if I hung it on the wall in the garage over there or what I did with it, but I did get the correct pulley for it. I ordered a brand new one. So the only other thing that I've got to find for this stupid thing, I've got to find the wiring harness that goes to the engine. I had this at work yesterday. I had just the motor was at work, and I was putting the motor all back together in hopes of bringing it home and putting it on here, which I did, as you can see, but the little wiring harness that goes to the magneto and to the solenoid on the carburetor is missing. So I gotta find that. I don't know if it's down there in my old garage or not. Pretty hard to find anything in my garage right now because I'm in the process of tearing the garage down. The old garage has had her. So not much stuff is left in there, so it's going to be kind of hard to find anything. That was just a bunch of trash in there now. But so anyways, we'll see what happens with this thing. I'm looking forward to getting it going. Like I said, I had it running for quite a while here last night, and the motor runs really good now, so there's no knocking, no smoking, no nothing. So anyways, I guess I'll cut this video off here now, and I'll do some more work on this thing. Perhaps I'll get some more video here soon. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Bye bye.